everyone, and welcome back to my channel, Tomcat Stitchery. I'm Whitney, and I am here with a new pattern release for you guys. But before we get into that, I just want to do a quick little self-promotion plug here. Just a reminder that my birthday sale is still going on. If you're interested in any of the 3 digital classes that I currently have for sale, you can get 10% off right now with the code WHITBDAY10. Put that right there. Get you 10% off any of the 3 classes that are currently being offered. The pattern fitting is on there as well, but it's not being offered at the moment. It won't be offered. Well, stay tuned. That'll be offered again, opening that back up in March. So stay tuned for that. Anyway, just a shameless little plug there for those of you if you haven't used your code yet. Okay, guys. I have a pattern release for you all from Love Notions, and it is such a good, fun, easy to wear, just really fun sew. I wouldn't say it's like a super easy sew. It's not hard, but it's it wasn't as simple as like sewing together a t-shirt, for instance. There were a little bit more involved, which I found really engaging and entertaining. But on that note, I do have at the end of this video a tutorial to show you how to finish off the back neckline and also how to do the ruching on the sleeve if that's something that you would like to do. The rest of it's pretty self-explanatory, but that not caught me up, but it was one that I thought might be beneficial to have a little visual aid when putting together that back neckline, and then also just a little ruching that happens as an option on one of the sleeves. Okay, let's talk a little bit about this pattern. This is the Aurora Tunic and Dress. So there's 2 basic patterns. They're the same in that they've got the same like seaming on the front. They've got the little pockets that are included in the front. The tunic has quite a bit more ease in through the waist and hip. So it's not as fitted because it's meant to be a little bit looser to be worn over leggings. Now, I think it would be really cute to lengthen the tunic enough to where it could be like a mini dress. I say mini dress. I'm 44, so not like super, super mini dress. But, you know, if I lengthen it enough, and I'm short, so sometimes I don't have to really lengthen that much to make a tunic a dress. But if it could be just like, I don't know, a couple of inches above the knee, I think that would be so cute for summer and a little bit more relaxed. Just as an option. So I'm not ruling out making the tunic version. But I was a tester for this one, and I was assigned the dress. So I have made 2 versions of the dress and can't wait to talk you through them. So this comes in their full size range from extra small up to their 5XL and has a standard bust front or a full bust front. I have made the size medium with the full bust front on both of these. I have shortened the bodice by 1 inch and I've shortened the skirt by 1 inch. That is what I have to do for all Love Notions patterns. It's just my proportions and the way that I am put together. So that is kind of what I have to do across the board. But that is it. The medium with the full bust fits me really, really great. I say that's it. That's it that I did on my first version, this Ponte version. I'll talk about the second version here in a second. So the pattern also comes with a few different sleeve lengths. You can do a short sleeve, an elbow length, a 3/4, or a full length sleeve. I've chosen the full length and the 3/4 length sleeve for my 2 dresses. And what else? I think those are all the variations that are available. So the pattern features this center front piece. So it's got like a princess seam that comes here, as you can tell. And the way that the neckline in the front gets finished off is with lining. So the recommended fabrics are mid to lightweight knit fabrics such as pontes, interlocks, jerseys. I would say something with a little bit more structure. So I don't know that I would necessarily use like a rayon spandex jersey, although some people might have. I just feel like sometimes that knit can be, it drapes beautifully, but I think that may weigh the pockets down a little bit and you might get really droopy pockets if you're using a fabric with that much drape in it. But a cotton spandex jersey, this is a cotton modal spandex jersey, Ponte again, something with a little bit more structure is absolutely beautiful for this pattern. So for my first iteration, I used this very stable Ponte knit from Mood Fabrics, probably a little bit more stable of a Ponte than I probably should have used. I mean, it's fine, it fits fine, it's just a little hard to get on and off. Once I pulled it on and everything pops into place, I'm good, and I think it fits really, really well. But getting it on and off, I really have to like to get it on and off, just because it's a very stable ponte. I am very impressed with this ponte, actually. Mood has this in like 29 colors, 25 colors, something like that. And I'm going to make a pair of pants, I think, this spring. And I want to use this. This would make a beautiful pair of ponte pants, this weight of ponte from Mood. Anyway, this is the chartreuse color. I bought it to test out this ponte, and I am not disappointed. It's absolutely beautiful. I have, actually, I may have enough for a pair of pants left over, like an ankle pant, maybe. I'll have to take a look. Anyway, I do have more of this left over, but I think it works lovely once it's the dress version. I know some people said maybe lining the pockets in something a little bit thinner if you were using thicker fabric. I could definitely see where you may want to do that. I don't get much see-through, I don't feel like, on this one, but maybe if you were using like a French terry, or which you could totally use, or even a sweatshirting, as long as it had the recommended stretch percentage, I think you would be fine. But I could see maybe using like a jersey, like a cotton spandex jersey or something for the pockets, just so that they were a little bit lighter weight. The back features darts, both at the bodice and the back skirt. It's a little bit straighter of a skirt, which I think is lovely. And then again, you actually make the whole front and finish off the front neckline, and then you finish off the back neckline, and you can use bias tape, like woven bias tape, to finish off your back neckline, or you can just finish it off and just turn it under once and stitch it. That's just not my favorite way to finish off a neckline on knits. I feel like that gets stretched out too easily. So I use bias tape on both of mine. You can kind of see a little bright pop of color. If you can see that from that far away, you'll see it up close when I show you how I sewed it here. And then you've got your sleeve options. I'm just over the moon with this. So this was the first version that I made. She made a couple of tweaks to the pattern for the final version, but there really wasn't much for her that she needed to do. I did notice, this happens a lot, when I had, I think Jenny actually took the pictures for me to submit for fitting, I noticed that I had a little bit of bunching there at the back, which is, it was just too long. This back is just a little bit too long for me, which is not shocking. I have a very short torso, so I needed a sway back adjustment. I didn't go through and fix it on this one. It doesn't really bother me that much, to be honest. I know that really bothers some people. It really doesn't bother me. But I did take note of that. And so when I made this one, I did do a 1/2 inch sway back adjustment on the pattern for this iteration. So you'll notice that this one doesn't have what this one has. Anyway. But there it is in ponte, and I'm definitely going to wear this now and through the colder parts of the spring, and then I'm going to switch to this one. Same pattern, same everything. The only adjustment I made to this one was I did do a 1/2 inch sway back adjustment, and I shortened the skirt another inch just from the hem on this one. I wanted this one just a little bit shorter so I could easily wear it with tennis shoes and not make my legs, it's a fine line on where my hems hit, where depending on what type of shoe I can wear with dresses. So I did shorten this one an inch because I thought it would be a little bit more of a relaxed dress and something that I could wear with tennis shoes and that sort of thing. Ballet flats, loafers, as the weather starts to warm up. Loving this color. Again, this is a cotton modal spandex blend that I got from Destashify, and the seller actually has more of this, and I've got it linked down in the description box below. Love this color. Is absolutely going into my spring. Actually, you're seeing a lot of my spring capsule right here. When it comes to colors, with the bright blue in there. All the color. But I'm absolutely going to be wearing this for the spring and then into the summer. I did the 3/4 inch sleeves, and then I did the fun little ruching that you do with elastic here at the sleeve, just for something kind of fun. I don't think this would have worked on this heavier ponte, but it works great on this cotton modal blend. And I'm going to show you how to do that as well here in just a second. Also finish off the neckline with bias tape on this one, which you will see in just a minute. I self-lined the front piece on this with this fabric, so it's just got the self-lining on the same fabric for the lining on the inside of that. For this one, because this ponte is so thick, I actually used a viscose spandex knit from my stash. I had actually, it's leftover this fabric. As I'm looking at it, it's leftover pieces from when I made this shirt. Something lighter weight to line the front with the ponte. And again, you could do that with the pockets, although I just use the same fabric for the pockets on this as well. Just absolutely over the moon. And it is on release sale for the next week. And when you use my code 10TKS, you get an additional 10% off that sale price. So if this is one that you think you need to grab, and if you love a good casual dress, or even I think that this really dresses it up. The pockets, everything, just really fun little dress. I think this one should definitely be going into your pattern catalog. It's the perfect dress for transitional spring or fall, depending on which one you're getting ready to go into. The weather is really nice right now. I know it's not going to stay that way because it's only February, but right now I really been feeling the spring. Again, it'll tank. I live in Indiana. It'll tank again. But for right now, I'm very much looking forward to being able to wear some spring clothing. In fact, taking the pictures for this was pretty easy because, yeah, the weather is actually really nice today. All right, guys, there you have it. The newest Love Notions pattern, the Aurora. Don't forget that code to get an extra 10% off your the sale price. It's a great price to buy that and to grab that now. Okay, guys, I hope you have a wonderful Tuesday. Don't forget to shop. If you're interested in any of the digital classes, don't forget to shop that as well. And I will see you guys again on Friday. And we're going to be doing, I think Friday is going to be Destashify. So stay tuned. You'll see this dress again. So stay tuned for that. And I will be back on Friday. Have a good week. See you then. Bye.
Okay, so I'm really quickly going to show you how to finish off the back neckline and how that gets sewn when you sew your shoulder seam allowances. And how all of that works, which is not complicated, but sometimes it can be helpful to kind of show you a little visual. All right, so here's the back of my dress. This works the same for the tunic. It's just obviously the bottom part, the necklines are the same on the tunic and the dress. But what I've done so far is I've used bias tape. And yes, this is a woven actual bias tape, but I did that on my green one too. And I just like the stability that it gives to the back of that neckline. The pattern also says that you can just, finish this off with a zigzag or a serger and just fold it under and stitch it. I just think that this is going to keep the neckline much more stable and help keep that from stretching out over time. So what I've done is I've sewn this right sides together. My tape here has been sewn right sides together all along the neckline there. And then I folded it up and understitched, basically. Top stitched kind of that, or understitched that to the tape, okay? But I've not, this will get turned to the inside eventually, but I've not done that yet. So it's still just up right now. And this is 1/2 inch double folded, or 1/2 inch single folded bias tape, okay? So I just sewed along that first 1/4 inch line there and then understitched. Okay, my front has been, that neckline has been, finished off, which we did in one of the earlier steps when you were making the pattern. So that's all nice and finished there at the top. The whole front neckline is set and ready to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to put our front and our back together at the shoulder seams. And we're going to line up here at the outside edge. Which is the arm's eye end here. And I'm just going to pin that in place. And you'll notice that the back is going to be longer than the front, okay? Because we've got this bias tape that's sticking out there. So I'm just going to pin this on this end. And really, I want the finished edge of this neckline here to go right at that kind of seam line there from that bias tape. And then we're going to take that bias tape and fold it over the front. Okay? So we've got our shoulder seams pinned right sides together, and then I've got the back folding over. Now you'll notice that it's up, but the this side that's going to get top stitched down is folded down on itself. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so we want that finished edge folded over on itself, but that is what we are going for. Okay. So now we are going to sew. I'm actually going to sew with a straight stitch on my sewing machine because this seam doesn't really need to stretch. I'm not really worried about popping stitches, but I'm going to actually sew this first along this shoulder seam at 3/8 of an inch, and then I'll go back and finish it off with the serger. I found that this has got a little bit bulky just doing it with my serger. And my serger was also kind of pushing this and making this wonky here where it finished on the neck edge. So that's what we're going to do. So let's go to the sewing machine and do this shoulder seam real quick. Okay, so I do have a stretch needle in my machine, and I'm using my the dual feed, which is like having a walking foot on there. I just think that that helps. So I'm going to start here at where the back folds over the front. And this is longer. I just haven't trimmed it. But I want to sew this at 3/8 of an inch. All right, so I will trim this with some scissors, but there is my shoulder seam. So then when this gets turned right side out, like so, this will get trimmed. We can then top stitch, and then that finishes off that neck edge really well. Okay, so let's go through this again on how I am going to serge this seam now. I'm just going to go over to the serger, and it'll cut off that excess there. But I'm just going to serge that seam now. But let's just really quickly go over how we pin and sew that one more time. So remember, our bias tape is sewn on, but it is pointing up, so we have not folded it to the inside yet. You can give it a press if you want, but we want it up, away from the neck edge. Then we're going to put our front right sides together here, and I'm going to match that end of the shoulder that's there at the arm's eye first. And then the other one, which is our finished neck edge, we just want that finished neck edge to bump right up where that bias tape is sewn. Maybe give yourself a little room, especially if you're using a ponte and maybe it's a little bit thicker fabric. So now again, the edge of the bias tape is fold to the wrong side, but we're going to take this and just fold it over to the front edge. So this little edge is folded down, but now we're just going to sew across there and then serge it. And I'll meet you right back here once I've done that, and we'll take a look before we top stitch our neckline down. All right, so this is what it looks like. We've got it all nice and serged. That's still wrapping over to the front, which is fine. So now when we flip this right side out, my side seams are obviously not done here. And we turn and give that all a nice little tug there. This bias tape wants to go to the inside of the shirt, like so. So now we can go and top stitch this down in place along the bottom fold all the way around the neckline. I'm going to go do that real quick. You don't really need to watch me do that. So I'm going to do that real quick, and I'll come back and show you the finished neckline. All right, so then once that is top stitched down, so you got that second line of stitching there, then your line of stitching there on the right side, your neckline is all done. So now it's time to put in your sleeves and then do up your side seams and do your hems, and you're ready to go. So there you have it. That is how you finish off the neckline of the Aurora. Okay, even though I'm going to put the elastic and do this ruching once the sleeve is completely constructed and the dress is basically finished, I just want to show you how I marked it, just because it's much easier to mark this while the sleeve is still flat. I put in double-sided hem tape, just as my preference. You don't have to do this. I just really like this stuff for my hems on my knits. The paper is still on the back. I've not pulled the paper off. But what I did was I folded the sleeve in half, and you can kind of see where that fold was right here. And then I just folded up that hem allowance, because that's what it'll be when it is finished. And then I just made a 5-inch line straight up from starting at the bottom of the hem, going up straight up into the sleeve. So I'm going to pull that 3 inches of elastic from this point up to this point to give that ruching effect, because I want my sleeves to be the same. You know, the instructions say just pull it as little or as much as you'd like, but I want the sleeves to have the same amount of ruching. So I've got both of those marked. I'll have to be careful because this is, I marked this with a pen that goes away with heat. So when I am pressing in my hem allowance before I've hemmed the sleeve, I will need to be careful that that doesn't go away. But yeah, there we go. So I will go ahead and put these sleeves in per the instructions and sew up my side seams and then hem my sleeves. And then I'll meet you back here and show you how to put in that elastic. All right, so once we are finished with the dress, I mean, the dress is all ready to go. It's hemmed. Everything on the dress is good. And I have got that 5-inch line that I have drawn into the inside, the front part of the sleeve. Now we want our dress right side out. We're actually going to be kind of sewing into a tube. You're going to see here. You're also going to want a 3-inch long piece of elastic. I'm using clear elastic. It's just my preference. Technically, you could use regular elastic as well, but this is 3/8 of an inch long or wide, and I've cut it 3 inches long. And again, my line that I've drawn here is 5 inches long. So we're going to be taking 5 inches of shirt into 3 inches of elastic. So it'll ruche that 5 inches up into 3 inches, which will give us a really beautiful sleeve. So let's go over to the sewing machine and I'll show you how we're going to do that. Okay, so I've put my machine on a 3-step zigzag stitch, which is, it looks like this number 16 that is highlighted right here. You can see it's got like 3 little stitches that go on each, like on the zig, and then 3 stitches that go back on the zag. That's the one we're going to be using for this one, so not a regular zigzag. And I've got it at a 1 length, oops, I just dropped clear elastic, on a 1 length, and that is, each little stitch is 1, so that makes like a 1, 2, 3, so it makes it 3 millimeters when it all is said and done, and then 4 width, which is I find is a good width for 3/8 of an inch elastic. So what I'm going to do is I am going to try and get in here so you can see. I'm going to be placing my elastic right here where I've stopped that line. Basically right at the top of my hem. And I'm just going to drop a needle down to anchor that. Well, maybe. There we go. All right, so I'm just going to start sewing. Okay, so it's done the first zig over to the right. All right, now I'm going to take this and stretch it until it meets up with the other, with the end of the line that I have got right there. Okay. And now I'm just going to kind of pinch those together. Now the name of the game, well, I may just go in sections here, is to stretch the elastic, and keep it centered over that blue line. And I'm also pulling through on the back so that it is pulling through as well. Until get here to the end, and then I'm going to backstitch. So there we go. We have gathered that up there with that elastic, which gives a nice, really pretty ruched on the front. And I'll just blast this with steam and it'll suck up that elastic a little bit more and get rid of that line all in one fell swoop. So there we have it. That's how we do the ruching on the sleeve.